Hey guys, if you guys are interested in Airsoft and you're obviously watching this video, go check out the Airsplat page on youtube.com. Also check out Inside the Mech Box on the same page. A lot of really cool things in there. You guys are going to have a lot of fun. Hey guys, I'm Prodigy from Airsoft Team Kilo23. Today we have another Airsoft gun review. Today we're going to be checking out the CYMA M14. Now, just out of the box, this is an okay gun. I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. It's very balanced. Once you get the battery in the stock, it's perfectly balanced. The magazine fits right in the middle, obviously, so there's not a lot of weight in the front at all. The outer shell of the body, it's plastic. It's just an ABS plastic. It's got a nice texture. There's not a whole lot going on in this gun. It's got the version 7 gearbox, which is actually very quiet. And it does a good job. I think just right off the bat, the only thing I don't like about this gun is the motor. It's got a very sluggish rate of fire. And, well, not a whole lot else. I mean, no one likes orange tips. And the good thing about CYMA is they usually just put the little plastic cap on here, so you guys that want to take that off, it's not too hard to, you don't have to paint over an orange tip or whatever. This thing's got a metal flash hider, so it's a big plus. Now, before I go over the gun, let's talk about everything this gun comes with. First of all, you're going to get a 400 round high cap mag. It's got the little hole in the side here for the quick tool winding doohickey, which you also get with this gun. You also get a 1.5mm Allen key, as if we don't have about 1,000 of those. Along with that, you get a little bag of some .2 gram BBs. I'm just going to throw these away now because they are really cheap, and I don't recommend using them in your gun. And then they're in the trash now. You get a really kind of cheesy sling. I don't recommend using these. I've seen these break, and just not good to drop your gun when your sling breaks. I've actually I've shattered stocks doing that. I've even bent outer barrels, which are not cheap to replace. So if you're going to use a sling, use a higher quality sling. It smells pretty good. You get a 1500 or 1200 mAh nickel cadmium battery. NiCad's okay, but you probably want to get a nicer battery than this. This is the largest thing that's going to fit in that stock. The stock is, it's not a lot of space in there. You might want to just get a 9.6 volt mini, or if you're feeling daring, you can take the gun apart, open up the body, and modify the battery chamber. So you also get a little wall charger. I really recommend you guys get a smart charger. They're not that expensive. You can get one for about 30 bucks anywhere. Just go pick up a wall charger. They will or a smart charger. They will automatically stop charging when it's done charging. These do not. You can really easily kill batteries with these. Obviously, you get a cleaning rod. These things are invaluable. I've got probably 24 of these things, and I've had a few break on me, so it's good to have more. Always clean your barrel. That's just a good thing to do. Get a little piece of paper towel, maybe a little bit of silicone oil, and just put it on the end. Just run it through your barrel a couple times and make sure you get as much dirt out of that thing as you can. It's not good to have dirt in your barrel. It can jam your gun, it can strip your piston, it can do all kinds of bad things. Finally, you're going to get a manual. This is a pretty nice manual. CYMA, whatever you want to call them. So they're doing a pretty good job with manuals. It's reading through this thing. M14s are pretty easy guns to use. They're not too difficult to work with. This thing actually, I was reading about the magazine in it, and it was saying that you actually get about 150 rounds from the magazine when it's fully wound. So not a lot of instruction booklets actually talk about the parts in so much detail. And it's also got a full breakdown of the gun, which is a real big plus. Anyone who's new at taking guns apart, which I don't recommend doing if you're new for this gun, it's very difficult to take apart, it can help quite a bit. Now, let's get to the gun. We've already got over everything this thing comes with. Now, I read a lot of reviews about this gun before I picked it up, and I remember reading a lot of reviews written by kids whose parents had bought them the gun. A lot of kids thought this was a really big gun, a pretty heavy gun, but when I pick it up myself, it's not very heavy. It weighs about maybe 7 or 8 pounds at most, and compared to a lot of guns that I've used, this is a relatively light gun. So you younger players out there, don't be afraid to pick this gun up. It might get heavy over time. You're playing 6 or 8 hours in a day or something, but you know, if you're just playing a few hours, 3-4 hours at most, this is a fine gun. You might want to get a smaller backup or just a smaller, lighter gun if you're going to be running around for 10 hours a day. But ultimately, I feel this is a very light gun considering. Now I also want to mention this gun comes in faux wood and OD green, as well as the black version, which I have here. So you guys can check those out. It also comes in the SOCOM version, which has the 420 mil barrel instead of the 520 mil barrel. So you can get a shorter gun if you want. I've tried those out, but I personally prefer the longer barrel to get a little more range. So, as usual, I'll start with the stock of the gun. We'll move up from there. To get to the battery compartment, it's pretty easy. You lift the back plate up here just like the real thing. You open the battery compartment here. Now this does have a mini type Tamiya connector, not a large type. You cannot fit a large 8.4 volt battery in this gun, which, oh well. Let's just go get a 9.6 volt mini battery and you'll be fine, as long as you don't want to tweak the gun or modify it internally. On the bottom of the stock here, you do have a rear sling mount. You can hook up a sling to this. Now, I did notice some somewhat large seam lines along the stock and the body of this gun. They're not anything major, and they're not sharp at all by any means, but it's just something aesthetic I wasn't very pleased about. I'll probably take a metal file to that later on and get rid of those. Now, the receiver of this gun has a lot going on. Let's start with the selector and move our way up and forward from there. Selector switch is on the right side of the gun. Now, the M1A, the civilian carbine version of this, is only going to be shooting semi-auto, but because this is an M14 replica, it has both semi and full auto. Real M14 has a heck of a lot of recoil in full auto, but thank God the Airsoft version doesn't. You can select full auto here or semi-auto. It does wobble a little bit. I've heard these things can break off, so be careful with them. They aren't too expensive to replace, but they are a little bit of a pain, so just watch yourself. The rear sight here is adjustable for windage and elevation. Windage is here. Elevation's on the left side, so this thing can get cranked up really, really good if you want to lob some rounds over. Now, I've heard people talk about the rear sight being a little small for shooting, and I've heard some people actually drill it out for a larger peep aperture like the M16 offers. But I've been just toying around with this gun a little bit, and I've noticed I don't mind it at all. I mean, my sight picture is about 3 or 4 inches back, and I've noticed it's just fine. You guys want a little bigger sight picture, you can drill it out and do whatever you want, but I'm going to leave mine just stock. The fake bolt on this gun doesn't reveal the hop-up chamber like the G&G version does, but it is very satisfying to pull back, like so. Now it does have a mock rotating bolt. You can see that rotates, and you have the gearbox under here, and there's a little plate just in front of that protects the nozzle and hop-up chamber. Now on the opposite side of the gun here, you have a screw hole, and you can also remove this little bracket here, and you can actually install a scope mount on this gun, which is pretty cool. Those aren't very expensive. You can buy them aftermarket. I've already got one sitting around. It's spray painted tan. I got it in a trade, but I'll spray paint it black and put it on this gun and put a scope on it later on, make it look pretty menacing. But right here you have the bolt catch, and I was actually able to get this to work moderately well. So let's see if I can get it to work right now. Kinda got it there. You have to pull the bolt back to release it. This version does not have the tab on top here where you can hit it. You kinda gotta either get a fingernail up under here or release it from the right side. Now it's not super sturdy when you do that. I believe you can buy an aftermarket version that allows you to actually get it to consistently lock back. Now the trigger guard's pretty cool. In front of the gun, I'll show you this later on, but you just you take a 1.5mm hex key and you unscrew a little nut in the front. You pull the gas block forward, or whatever the heck it is, and then you take the trigger guard off here, and you can basically disassemble the gun or field strip it or whatever you want to call it. Doing that is very easy, but from then on it's a little more difficult. To do that, you can like adjust the motor height, work with the battery compartment, stuff like that. So it's not very difficult to do basic modifications and upgrades on this gun. You have the trigger here. I'm not going to pull it because I've already got a battery in the gun. You got a safety here. Right here, you can put like a lock or something in it because it's in the trigger guard, so you don't accidentally push the safety forward. You push it forward, the safety's off, and you can pull the trigger. Just in front of that, you had the magazine well. Now, to insert the magazine, it's pretty much like an AK-47. You got to put the front of the mag in first and then the back, and it'll latch in the back. The front of the magazine has a little groove that has to fit into. Now, I noticed this M14 is a little easier to get the magazine in than other M14s. I remember I had the Echo 1 EBR a long time ago, and it was a pain to get the magazine in. I don't know if it's just because of the EBR body or whatnot, but it took some work. This one's a little easier to get the magazine in. Now, in front of that here, you have the hop-up wheel. It's very easy to adjust the hop-up in this gun, and it's not going anywhere. There's a little spring-loaded item in there, and it allows it to click every time you just minutely adjust the hop-up. It's not going to disengage the hop-up when you're shooting, and you're going to be able to audibly hear it when you adjust the hop-up. Now, in the lower front of the main body here, you have the front sling loop. This thing does all right. It is held into a plastic body with a couple of screws. I don't expect it's going to break off on you anytime soon. You also have a bipod mounting hole in front here. Now, the mount is aftermarket, or you can, I don't know, you can probably figure out some way to get a bipod on here. But I was thinking about picking up one of those. I've got a spare Harris-style bipod around I can use on this. Might be kind of fun. The barrel on this guy is pretty long. I believe it's about 510, 520 millimeters long. Realize that this takes an M14 specific barrel. It has to have the notches in the right place so it'll fit in the chamber correctly. The standard barrels, Systema, G&G, Mad Bull, the standard ones just don't work, and I find that disappointing. It is a little harder to find the M14 specific barrels. You do have your front sight here. I do not believe it's adjustable. It's pretty much held in place. Now, to remove the flash hider, you just unscrew this little lock here, and I believe it has counterclockwise threads under there, so you can put a suppressor or a different flash hider on there or whatever you want to do. Now, I mentioned earlier the flash hider is metal, so it's a huge plus. You don't get one of those cheap plastic flash hiders on here. It's always nice having a metal one. You also get this little cap on here. I believe it's held in place with a pin, and it's probably glued on too. So it is nice having a cap instead of an actual painted flash hider. Alright, let's check out the FPS of the CYMA M14. And now the rate of fire on the stock battery. Alright, the speed kind of varied around, anywhere from 340 to 360 or so, which is it's a large gap there. And the rate of fire on the stock battery is about 10 rounds per second. So, I'm going to let you guys make up your own minds about the M14. I like it. I think it's a good upgrading platform. You can do a lot with it. It's tuned decently out of the box, or it sounds pretty good. The rate of fire is a little sluggish, so you probably want to get a 9.6. That's going to help your rate of fire a little bit more. Also, don't forget to check out Inside the Mech Box on the Airsplat page on YouTube.com. You're going to find a lot of really cool things there. A lot of really cool tech manuals and upgrade guides and stuff like that. Let's go check that out. Thanks for watching. I'm Prodigy from Airsoft Team Kilo23, signing off.